What's up, people of the world? It is Reap the Harvest live. Momentum Monday. Matt Tack in the house. What's going on, my brother?
What's going on, man? I'm doing great.
A lot going on. So I was talking to you earlier. I was out on my walk this morning doing my Momentum Monday mindset reset, getting into the week. And talk of the town is real estate. Even people that I know that are marketers are talking about houses are going to start being foreclosed. We're seeing evictions now are back. Everything's been kind of shut down for a few months, but people are looking to collect on that rent money. And you being an investor, what's your take on this whole thing? Obviously, you know the lingo, you know what I'm talking about. It's the talk of the town on the internet already Monday morning.
Yeah, man. It's just crazy. It's craziness. It's got this is like you said, this is going to be the first month that we can evict, and there's definitely going to be some evictions we're actually rolling through right now. So what does that look like? What does that look like in a real estate landscape? We'll find out. But we expect, I don't know everything, and I know another stimulus act is coming, but the reality is that it had to come at some point, right? People just can't have forbearance and expect not to pay that money back, right? All money is owed money. And so if you aren't paying, you can't stay. And so that's kind of like our model.
You ain't paying, you ain't staying.
And that's the banks are going to tell you that. We're going to tell you that. We have to pay for our mortgage, right? We still have a note. We have senior debt. So what does that look like? We tried. We overly communicated with a lot of people, but there's probably going to be about 3 or 4 people right now. And that's only in I have about 250 doors. That's right now. That we're going to have to go ahead and evict, right? I got actually rid of all of my residential portfolio in the crisis, right? But now, a ton of the transactional deals we're doing right now are people trying to exit before foreclosure. And, we've done about 4 or 5 deals in the past 2 months that have been, hey, I just need to get out, right? I don't want any cash. I just want you to pay off my mortgage. And so, that's what the offer is, right? So we have one actually closing this week on the 7th. That is going to be we're closing on that one. And I got my visuals guys actually calling me right now. That's something that, that it's going to come in play, right? That you're going to have to evict people if you're going into foreclosure. How do you move on it quickly before you go through that process, right? Before you go through any type of foreclosure process, can I get rid of it? Can I just get rid of my note balance? Can I pay off the bank and get out of it? That is we truly believe. So, and this isn't just coming from me. This is coming from guys way ahead of me, right? That they are expecting like an absolute smash. I mean, it's going to come hurling down with these foreclosures, right? Because these people there's forbearance been at 6 months, but now you have to take those 6 months and then you got to take your additional payment. So you have to catch up 7 months worth of mortgage notes, right? That you potentially didn't pay on. And if you haven't been figuring out, if you don't have the abundance mindset where, hey, I'm going to figure out a new way to income. I'm going to, I call them RGAs, revenue generating activities. If I'm not finding out new ways to educate myself to create monetary wealth, then what am I doing? How am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to do these things?
It's a skill-based economy now. It's a skill-based economy now.
It's a skill-based economy. And a lot of Americans honestly just sat back and said, I'm going to wait for the next stimulus check. I'm going to wait for somebody to bail me out. Well, the reality is no one's going to bail you out, right? You got to bail out yourself. You got to figure out, you have to have that abundance-based mindset. And that's why we even do this podcast, right? Share a wealth of knowledge. Why retain any sort of knowledge? I remember, years ago, I was thinking, hey, I got to keep this because this should be a pocket secret because it's like, there's more than enough information to go around. There's more than enough wealth to go around that you can just you can just create wealth in other people. You just give them the abundance, right? And then you do deals together. And I do deals with so many different people on a monthly basis. It's crazy, but that's the abundance mindset. How can I facilitate other relationships where we can win together, right? And it's that rising tide mentality. Going back to what the market and what the market looks like, ton of evictions and ton of foreclosures are coming up, right? They're preparing another economic stimulus to be deployed.
I did see that.
And what they're trying to do right now, if you're completely right wing, they're trying to delay the election too, right? So they're trying to do all these things because of what we're currently going through right now, unprecedented times, trying to figure out all this out. But the reality is that everything comes to a head. And eventually the foreclosures is going to come to a head because the banks still need to get paid. And if you aren't paying, you aren't staying. And so you're going to lose your home. You're going to have to identify other measures if you aren't going to be able to pay, right? And the bank's going to take that back. And I'll tell you right now, banks hate residential homes. They do not like, a lot of people make a lot of money off of it, but they don't like taking back because then they're hard to sell. And especially when you go into a season, maybe like 08, 09, where there's just going to be a mass amount and oversupply of foreclosures. So there's going to be like this shift right now that's happening. There's a lot of people buying, and then there's also a lot of people there's going to be a lot of people selling. So right now there's very limited demand because a lot of people aren't buying because they're getting this forbearance, right? So there's a limited selling pool where demand then has shifted. So there's an this is the whole like the hyperbola. How do you say that? Hyperbole. There we go. But the economic shift and where things is that man. That's terrible.
No, I understand. Listen, dude, it's the circle of life.
It's basically what it is. I mean, when you have that economic shift of hyperbole, why can I not say this is ridiculous?
I don't know. You're asking someone who already isn't that smart to give you vocab advice. So you're going to run into a wall there.
But anyways, regardless, I mean, you take that and then you take the economic shift, right? And when supply outweighs demand, you're obviously the supply angle, you're going to have like a massive amount of just an oversupply of houses on the market where they don't have enough. There's not enough demand to occupy those houses or enough cash basis for people to come in. Unemployment's still up, whether you think it or not. Like unemployment's still like, even though it's gone down slightly. And I'm not like obviously saying I'm the economist and know where everything's the trajectory of where the overall economy is going.
No,
but the reality is there's been deferment so long that the stimulus is there just to stimulate the economy. Exactly that. Stimulate the economy for a long enough period before it will have to catch up with itself. And in this case, this 6-month deferment period and then a massive amount of cash going in to the economy where people are not necessarily are people spending that money, right? What do you do when you go into scarcity mode? You pocket that money, right? You aren't just going out there, I'm taking the $1,200 and like doing whatever. It's not like a lot of times that never, when Obama did the stimulus act, it did the exact reverse, right? A lot of people pocketed that money and held on to it because they didn't know where. So right now people are like, okay, I get a forbearance of 6 months in my mortgage payment, but that economic stimulus, I'm going to pocket that. I'm not going to actually pay off my mortgage with that, or I'm not going to pay rent.
Right. And overall, let's just be honest, $1,200, $2,400 isn't that much money anyway.
Right.
It's not a lot of cash. It's not going to go that far. And if you disagree with that, then, I mean, your mindset on cash flow is off because $3,000 is not going to save you. It's not enough money.
No, absolutely not. So now when you get 6-month deferral and the banks are coming knocking on your door and they're like, hey man, I know you haven't worked in 3 months, but you do all the past 6 months in a mortgage payment and you got to catch that up within 3 months. Are you going to be able to do it with no cash reserve? Like, no.
Yeah.
Never like
Matt's freezing up here a little bit. You there, Matty?
yeah. Am I back now?
Yeah, you're good.
Sorry, man. I don't know what happened.
You're good. You probably also have phone calls. I mean, Matt does run a business, people.
Yeah, that actually wasn't. That actually wasn't a phone call. Hyperbole, exaggerated
You're
statements.
doing a
Okay. No,
vocab check.
that's yeah, and that's not what I was actually trying to say. I'm trying
I
to
know
think.
what
You know
you're
the
saying, though. Supply and demand. There's not a lot. If people are low on cash and they can't pay the rent, and
yeah,
then they're
no,
not going to be able to pay back the rent either.
I'm going back on hyperbole is the an exaggerated statement, but what is the curve? There's somebody help us out here.
Somebody save Matt with the freaking vocab term.
There's an economic curve, right? Chart, and I can't think. Anyways, whatever.
Well, back to what you said about this quarter, the GDP. Speaking of charts, Patty Pat's been looking at a lot more data as well. I've had some of my best months thanks to people like Matt, because people are going digital now. People are going virtual now. People are building virtual communities and groups and podcasts and marketing themselves online more and more. And so while we had the lowest number of GDP, I think ever in the history of the United States, I had my biggest months ever because I've been focused on digital marketing and learning the new wave of digital communication for years and years and years. And now the demand for that is through the roof. So, I mean, if you're not online and you're not marketing yourself, I don't know, nobody's seeing you anymore because you can't be seen unless you're online anymore.
Hyperbola.
Hyperbola.
Hyperbola. That's what I was getting the two mixed up. Hyperbola.
So I'd have to find that chart, but I did see it of where they go through this pretty much sales of the country and the economic numbers of the country over however many years, and it plummeted. It's the lowest, it's worst it's ever been.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like
the data.
When you immediately scare people, like people's the psyche of a mind immediately goes into scarcity mode, right? What can I do? I'm fearful. Like this is unbelievable, right? Talking to a guy the other day, this is hilarious. I do believe that we need to be reasonable when it comes to hurricane season. I live in Florida, but like, what do people say? Like, I hear this every single year, and I could be wrong because this year might be the worst. We're going to have the worst hurricane season we've ever had in 100 years. Like, people say that. And of course, like, what does that do? Scarcity and fear is what people are implanting. Oh, this is going to be the worst hurricane season. What are people trying to do? Like, that's the whole reason why we're even in COVID. I was having a conversation earlier today, is because we want to be implanted with this fear-based mindset all the time. And now this is where the rubber meets the road, right? Where we had to, like, the fear, they're instilling fear in everybody, and they're giving like forbearance on their mortgage. Like the government, like, you need to give forbearance. And then you also you can't evict people for 6 months. So what does that do to an apartment complex? Obviously, it holds us back financially in the value of what we the value of our complex, right? Because we're not generating as much NOI in a given month when people aren't paying. So this whole thing, rubber eventually meets the road, right? You cannot give forbearance and then make people catch up in like a finite period of time, right? It either has to be like a predetermined forgiveness, you know what I mean? Where there's like, you don't have to catch up. Now you start this date, or it's going to be right where there's going to be an insane amount of foreclosures. And that's what we're seeing right now. That's right.
I found this chart too, this GDP chart. So if you guys look here, since 2009, you'll see the red mark on the far side here, the Bureau of Statistics. It's the lowest it's ever been for quarter one of 2020, negative 5% quarterly GDP growth in the United States. So this is why we're kind of touching on the market growth. As you can see, there's a red dash next to it, lowest it's been since 2009. I don't see the numbers before then, but this is why I wanted to kind of talk about evictions and foreclosures, where the market's going, where it's the best place to get attention, to create sales, to generate revenue. It's been online for a while, but now we're here in a virtual and a digital age. And the best way to communicate and to create attention is going to be online and through the internet. And so I encourage you guys to understand that, man, there's no better time than now to create a digital network of people. Surround yourself with the right people on Facebook and Instagram. I mean, I might make jokes about how I'm not the smartest guy, but there's a reason why I've been able to get around people that are some of the smartest guys. And that's because I use the internet to my advantage. I put myself out there. I crack jokes and make skits and create relationships with people and write songs for people and share podcasts. I've learned so much doing this podcast with you about so much different stuff, about business, about data, about all this. And what's happening is I'm seeing improvements now in other areas of my life, because this is what we're constantly bashing into our minds every Monday, every Wednesday, and every Friday is success, success, success in all different departments, our marriage, our kids, our finances, our physical, our mental. It's all of this stuff comes together. And so you guys, now is the time to strike online. And also if you're looking for real estate advice, getting around somebody like Matt is essential. Like we've talked about, we're building out a group. So our Wednesday podcast is going to be a live broadcast inside the group where Matt's going to be taking one-on-one, pretty much one-on-one coaching, I guess you could call it, and accountability for people who want growth in their lives. And then as someone who owns strip malls and commercial, and who has now moved out of residential and is going full commercial, I mean, it's only going to be up.
So we amped up marketing for the commercial leg and specifically a retail leg, because what we're going to see is obviously a lot of opportunities for significant discounts, right? Wholesale discounts, below wholesale pricing for retail. The retail spaces, we think commercial is going to get hit really, really, really hard. We'll be able to reposition assets. We don't think I truly believe, I don't think retail is going to be going away for the long term. I think you're going to see a shift. I think that there's, for the bigger retail spaces, national type retailers, you're going to see more of the discount guys really taking up a lot of the larger spaces. The Marshalls, the TJ Maxxes, those ones are going to be, I think for the long haul, those are going to be in there. Five Below, those type of targeted national anchor tenants, the Home Depots, the Lowe's, those are all going to be there from a retail perspective.
Yeah, those aren't going anywhere.
No, but obviously some of the
Carter's. Don't forget Carter's.
Carter's.
My wife loves Carter's.
That's a Texas thing. But I mean, we're targeting, we're ramping up our marketing efforts on those just because we think there's opportunity for sure. We think there's going to be opportunity there for the long haul. And then obviously, the commercial multifamily, the real positioning there is the financing. You hold senior debt at a couple points. It's pretty nice. But going back to where is the real estate market, to wrap things up, where is this shift taking place? I'm not going to sit here and say I'm, the complete expert of where things are going to be in the next 5 to 6 months. We are going through an election season, so there is going to be an influence where an economic stimulus comes out again to get these things through the hurdle, maybe even another forbearance period. But it's like, where is it going? Where is it heading? Well, I mean, we fully expect there to be like an insane amount of foreclosures. We expect there to be a lot of foreclosures. So from a transactional leg in my other company, we expect things to go that way. And then in regards to commercial, we're building out that business plan as we speak. And then from, our current asset management base, yeah, we had to create other opportunities where we had to make sure that our A players stayed on board. And then we had to actually part ways with some people that we didn't think were the A players, that like we just didn't think were in the long-term vision. So we had to really take a good look. And so COVID's been good. We just really had to dive deep. And then we found other areas to create additional streams of revenue. And that's really what it comes down to, is that learners are earners, as I always say. And you have to identify new passionate ways to create revenue growth. And whether that be online, whether that be, in whatever space you're in, if you can monetize on it, if you have the knowledge base, if you can stay one chapter ahead, do it. There's always an opportunity to create new avenues of revenue through others and learning and partnerships and whatever it may be. My area has been real estate, and the relationships that I built out of that real estate is just phenomenal, amazing, massive growth. So if I couldn't encourage it anymore, hop into my group. We're gonna start out by creating basically a 10-year growth plan. I'm going to have a guy help us out with that 10-year growth plan. And those will be basically 10-year, 5-year, 3-year, 1 year. And then you build it out into 90-day increments. So it'll allow to be based on like traction. And then it's going to be accountability based off of that, and make sure you're progressing, learning, identifying new ways of opportunity to create wealth, and not sacrifice necessarily time doing it.
That's awesome, man. I can't wait to drop that. You guys, thank you so much. Everyone who watches us on these, we fire from the hip. We just go with it, have fun, and try and give you guys something positive to watch here on the internet. And so we appreciate you. The group will be dropping soon. We're finishing up some landing pages and stuff like that to send you guys to, and to give you all the correct information. So we will see you soon. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate the insight, man, and all the best.
All right, man.